Namaste, everybody. Welcome to Smart Yoga. I'm Don, and today I just want to share something with you about the nature of a class, a yoga class, whether you're a teacher or whether you're a student. It's the idea yoga isn't like a Simon says, Simon says do this, Simon says do that, or a follow the leader. When you're new, of course, there's a follow the leader element to it. And in fact, even if you've been practicing for 20 or 30 years, the instructor is going to take you through a flow and or whatever if it's yin, to keep you in postures, and you're going to follow the instructor's directions, of course. But in your own practice, and the more you practice, the more awareness you develop about yourself, your own body, and you begin to close your eyes, for example, and you find out, where your limitations are physically, where your limitations are mentally, whether you want to break through those mental limitations, or in some cases, your physical limitations. A big part of yoga that differentiates a class where it's just for exercise. A lot of people take yoga for exercise, and it's good for that. But I mean, if that's the only reason you took it, you would be accomplishing your mission or your goal, because you'll get in better shape, you'll feel better, you'll pick up some things along the way that go beyond the physical. But if you want to delve more into what yoga has to offer, and like if you're a teacher, you can encourage your students to set an intention. And an intention, as I discussed on a different video, is different than a dedication. You can dedicate a practice to anybody or anything. I'm going to dedicate it to peacefulness. I'm going to dedicate it to my mother who passed away, or I'm going to dedicate it to my friend who's going through a tough time. But even when you set a dedication, you're still going through your practice mindful of yourself and trying to, you're still very much focused on that aspect of it. And intention is more specific, where you're focused throughout your practice on how to become more patient. And I'm going to give you this as an example of where yoga isn't designed. There's so much more it has to offer than just being a follow the leader type of thing where you're just doing what the instructor says. You bring your awareness inward. My instructor, when I was going through one of the teacher trainings, I don't remember which one, but she asked the class, and many of us have been teaching and practicing and taking yoga for a long time. And she asked us, what is yoga? And we're like, well, wow, what a question at this point, because the textbook answer is typically something along the lines of it's the union of body, breath, and mind, or it's the union of, of these, or it's a journey. And all these answers are correct. It does include that. But I knew Ranjita, my teacher, was not looking for a standard answer. I just knew her too well. And she just, I'll talk more about her if she's okay with it, but I'll explain who she is and where she's trained and what she passed along to us. It was just incredible. But she said, yoga is about forgiveness. And I stopped. Even now, I get a little goosebumps. I'm like, God, I wouldn't have thought of that. And this is the type of thing that I'm passing along to you teachers as well, those of you who teach, that to help your students get ideas as far as what yoga has to offer, so that you're not presenting it just as a series of exercises or just as a follow the leader, where you can give them ideas. You don't have to tell them. You wouldn't tell a student, okay, today you're dedicating your practice to, whatever, or you're going to set your intention for this. But for you to come up with ideas to give them, to say, okay, today a possibility is to set your intention to being more patient, or more tolerant, or to the next conversation you have with somebody who differs politically from you, You're going to make yourself listen a little bit better. There are so many things that we could do and become as human beings that in a yoga class, you can invite your students to experience that at some point without being insistent, because that's not your position either. It's not mine when I'm teaching. So I just wanted to pass that along, that as a student too, as well, even if your instructors are not coming up with ideas for you to set your own intentions, if you want to go further with it, but maybe the studio you're taking classes in, and there's only one studio near you, doesn't approach yoga that way, but it is more along the lines of follow the leader, you can set your own intentions. So then you come up with them on your own in your own life. Um, if you want to become stronger, if you want to move more slowly, if you want to, if you find yourself, I don't know, I'm just coming up with things off the top of my head. If you think you're too passive, or if you think you're too aggressive, or if you really have a problem getting over things and you need to learn better ways of forgiving, go beyond dedicating your practice to you becoming more forgiving. Find ways during your practice to experiment with yourself as far as what does forgiveness even represent to you, and what would it look like in a given posture if you had a forgiving disposition. Because whether that solidifies it for you or not in that moment, probably not, but it contributes to when you're off the mat, your mind, your thought process, your heart process, however you want to depict it, is 1 or 5 or 10 or 50% further when you're off the mat to thinking about it in those terms, because you've thought about it in a different context. I don't know enough about neuroanatomy and how the brain structures and the retrieval process, and but the fact that you've thought about it in a different context on your mat of your own choosing will affect you when you're off the mat. And it's not a magic potion. It's truly a normal process of development. There's a rational basis for it. And it starts, though, with you setting your own intention. And if you're an instructor watching this, you get the point. You've already understood that. You can impact your students to where they're not approaching you as a Simon Says leader or a follow the leader, that you're actually helping them sort of go deeper into what yoga has to offer. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope your practices go well. I hope your life off the mat does as well. And that's it. All right, guys. Namaste. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to see the family grow here and get more comments. You can even leave a request for, leave a question for me, and I'll include it on a future video as long as I have time. And I'll make time. I'll try to. Okay, guys. Namaste. Have a wonderful day.